Welcome back to Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Roger Hoover. Now, pleased to be joined by Arielle Schafer, of course, a former student athlete at the University of Alabama on the rowing team, and she now covers sports for CBS 42 in Birmingham. And Arielle, it was great to see you last night at Legacy Arena. How's everything going as we're in that fun time of the year? Football in full swing and basketball underway as well.
I mean, we call it a Christmas TV person's Christmas right now, right? We have basketball and we have football going on for, basketball for men and women too, which is very, very exciting. So I'm more of a basketball person. Honestly, I love football, but I love this time of year. And it was great to see you last night too. And I mean, what a game for sure between Bama and Illinois. So it got me feeling like I was watching the Sweet 16, and that just gets me really excited for the rest of the season.
Yeah, let's start with basketball for a second. Again, a good win for the Crimson Tide last night against Illinois, and maybe did it in an uncharacteristic style where Mark Sears wasn't the one carrying this team down the stretch. Just what you see from Nate Oates really using the full roster to get that win.
I mean, absolutely. It was close to 40 points off the bench. I mean, obviously, Aiden Holloway had a big part in that, but I thought it was really cool to see the rotation with different combinations you had on the floor. You either had like two bigs and three guards, or you had three bigs and two guards. Like, I loved that they were able to mix up that. And Coach Oates, I asked him, I said, how important is that? He was like, well, I mean, I think everyone knew coming into this season that we were going to be very locked and loaded. We were going to be able to rely on our bench. And I thought this was a really good indication of that. He also did say, too, that's going to carry them down the stretch when you're thinking about the SEC standings towards the end of the year with that race, when you're thinking about tournament play. And I thought it was super impressive. Grant Nelson just be able to set the tone, the knockout three-pointers, like just in the first 9 minutes, or well, not even 9 minutes. It was like nine possessions. It was insane. And the way that LeBaron Philon is able to just really take control of the court, being so young. I was just they were. I was saying to my dad last night, I was like, I don't know, but I think this team might be better than the Final Four team. I don't know. I mean, they have that potential too, and they haven't even reached it yet. So it was interesting to see. And yeah, Mark Sears, he still had a lot of leadership on the bench for sure. That's what Grant Nelson was saying. He was very active in those huddles, even though it wasn't his night. But that's also a huge thing too. When your leaders, yeah, when they're not having their best night, but they're pumping up other people, that's what really makes a good team.
Yeah, we're really excited to see what's ahead for men's basketball coming up this season. Obviously, football takes so much of our focus right now with the Crimson Tide. And for you, what's it been like to cover the first year of the Kalen DeBoer era here in Tuscaloosa?
It's so different, right? Because I came in the last year of Coach Saban. I was a student, obviously, too. So I remember at one point when the defense had more like touchdowns than the offense. That's like, that was the era was in school and for and grew up watching too. I just think it's just like a different approach, and it's kind of just like a modern approach to where we are in college athletics, right? I just also thought it was just really interesting and cool to see the team be able to switch to the values and kind of what Coach DeBoer expects rather than Coach Saban, because they're two different people at the end of the day. You can't compare Coach DeBoer to Coach Saban. I mean, it's two different philosophies, two different types of programs. But it's been so fun to see this team whenever they get knocked down, they get back up. And the LSU game was a big indication of that. And I was really hoping they were going to go into Death Valley and be able to do what they have been able to do. And I just think it's also with the defense. I have never seen so many people get in at a time in the game. Like Coach Juan McMahon, he just keeps on rotating people in and out, and that's deadly. Like I don't think we saw that last year. I just think it's been really fun, honestly. It's been different, but really, really fun. And I definitely feel like you play your best football towards the end of the year. And I feel like they have gotten to the point where, like, okay, we're going to come together as a team now. And they have one goal. And I think when you have a team come together like that on both sides of the ball, it's unstoppable.
It really is ensemble, and Jalen Milroe, a huge reason for that. He's been really upfront with the media all throughout his time in Tuscaloosa, basically having a weekly press conference of his own. Just how have you seen him kind of handle everything that's been thrown at him this year?
Ooh, he is special. I mean, us media people love talking to him because we'll ask him questions and he will just be so upfront with us and so transparent. And that's exactly how he is with the team too. I feel like I don't know if you saw it was the South Carolina game. You could tell in that post-game interview with ESPN that they got the win, but he wasn't satisfied. And that's exactly what he told us in the media scrum, like what, 30 minutes later. He has just been able to really carry the team on his back. And, that's what he should be doing. I mean, he is the it guy on the team. I won't say like he's definitely one of the faces of the brand, and to be able to have a beautiful relationship like he had with Coach Saban, but now also what he has with Coach DeBoer, when you have your leaders do that and also choose to come back when, Coach Saban retired, Jalen Milroe could have left. I just think it just proves how much he loves his team, what he believes in Coach DeBoer, and he believes in the program, and he definitely just bleeds crimson. Like he reminds me of how Jalen Hurts was before he did transfer to Oklahoma. He was just loved the university. He loved playing for Alabama. Um, and he's also it's been really cool to see how fast he is and that be exemplified with the design quarterback runs. And I think also he's taken really good initiative of having that chemistry with the offensive line to be able to have those explosive runs like he has. But I mean, you can go on and on and on, right? I mean, this kid is incredible. And he's definitely I feel like whoever gets him NFL wise, it's going to be a treat because not only is he a great player on the field, but he's so good in the community. He's like definitely someone that you want to come to your team and be a face of the program for sure.
Of course, in an interview like this, we can talk as long as we want, but for you and your sportscast on CBS 42, you only get a small window. How do you try and explain the path forward for Alabama, first to Atlanta towards an SEC championship, and then the playoff ranking craziness we see week in, week out? I imagine in some ways it's helpful to have that kind of content from the committee, but it's also a little confusing as well.
Oh, it's so confusing to be quite honest with you. Like you have to definitely do it in multiple like segments, I feel like, because it's always constantly changing. Um, but yeah, I mean they have to win out. You need if Auburn wins against Texas A&M, that's really going to help. I think it's just kind of really funny that Bama fans should root for Auburn, but then the following week Auburn needs to win out in order to make a bowl game. So it's like, no, like we need them to lose. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's funny that like maybe Alabama fans have to root for Auburn this weekend. But I mean, the path is clear. I think the reason why they also moved up maybe in those AP rankings and maybe even from the college football playoff rankings is because, yeah, I know it was against Mercer, but just the way that when the first team came in, they were able to execute. Then the second team came in, they were able to execute. It was like the depth was finally put on full display. And I think that's something that the committee was looking for to be like, okay, like say, I'm not saying it, but like say if Jalen Milroe goes down, who can come in and step in? Like, because that what's happened to Florida State last year. And I do believe that was the reason why when their quarterback went down, that's why they didn't get into the college football playoff. Like you have to think about things like that. I mean, that's how I think. But when you're trying to explain it to an audience, you're just like, okay, here are the standings. You give them the most visual graphics and stuff you can to help your audience be like, okay, here's everything. But I just ended the sportscast the other day. I was like, to be quite honest with you, the 12-team playoff, we thought this would help. It just made everything even more chaotic. So at the end of the day, it's gonna be interesting. So hold your horses and buckle up,
Yeah,
really.
it should be a few fun, interesting weeks ahead. Well, Arielle, we look forward to following your coverage on CBS 42. Just thank you for the time you've given us. Hope to have you back on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Thanks again.
Absolutely. Thank y'all.